Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris of the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, the Employers Federation defends sending employees home. Hurricane Maria impacts negatively on fishing in the Castlebruce constituency, and a move by the public to rescue Antrim Road. The details coming up.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001-275-5003 today.
Do you need more cash for that home improvement? Then come to Fast Cash, where we give you more. At Fast Cash, our customers get more funds and more time to repay. But wait, can't come to us? We'll come to you, and our mobile officer will get you on your way. Small businesses, consumers, and taxi owners, Fast Cash has more for everyone. Simply call or visit any of our locations for more. Smarter, faster, better. Fast Cash. Terms and conditions apply.
First up, the Executive Director of the Employers Federation has defended the move by the private sector to terminate employees. Labour Commissioner Dr. Matthew LeBlanc has questioned the validity of redundancies and termination of employment post-Hurricane Maria, but the Employers Federation's Executive Director Ashil Joseph says assessments indicate that it is a genuinely taxing period for the private sector.
We heard the comments from the Labour Commission, and we read it also in the print media. And we are challenging that. We do not know that this is a practice in the private sector to the extent that the commissioner should say that this is what is happening out there. There may have been 1 or 2 instances of matters reported to the Labour Commissioner, and those matters are still being mediated and conciliated. We do not know, as the employers' organization here, that this is something that is being practiced by the private sector. We don't agree with the position by the Labour Commissioner that these employees are being treated in a way that is not supported by law. No way.
Joseph disclosed that, on the other hand, there are cases where employees have not...
A number of employees, and I don't know how many, did not show up for work for weeks, and some cases 2 months following the hurricane, with no contact whatsoever to their employers, while the entire country is connected by road network and almost the entire country by telephone network. To the extent that some of the same people who have never returned to work have been seen in and around Roseau transacting business and never touch base with their employers. Now, from all aspects, this constitutes a clear indication from the employee that he does not wish to continue to be an employee of the employer.
There is a provision in every collective agreement that an employee forfeits his employment if he is absent from work for 3 consecutive days without an excuse or medical certificate to his employer. In the case of layoffs since the hurricane, employees can expect to be rehired at some point in time.
There's a difference between layoff and redundancy and termination of employment. I noticed in the print media, the words were used interchangeably. There are different meanings. Layoff is where there is no work available. The hurricane passed, your business place was destroyed, looters finish it up, and there is no work to be done. The employees were laid off for a period of time. The layoff means that the intention is that the employee will resume work. But I think the Labour Commissioner was making the point that employees who did not show up for work should not be considered as having terminated their employment, and we are saying we disagree. We understand that the first week after the hurricane, no employee was considered as having terminated their job, but I'm saying today, it is almost 3 months since the hurricane, and there are business places where the employee has not turned up for work, nor contacted his employer. There is no way you can consider the employer as having to continue to be on payroll. It's impossible.
Joseph explained redundancies are justifiable where businesses cannot recover from the impact of the hurricane. In other news, the Ministry of Fisheries reports some fisherfolk in the Cassabus constituency suffered significant loss as a result of the September 18 hurricane.
A Channel 5 news team visited San Sauver, which is one of the major fishing areas on the east coast, and spoke to some of the fisherfolk who were affected. They admitted to having some challenges after the passage of Hurricane Maria, which had a negative impact on their livelihood.
The hurricane was really bad. Well, we had to pull up all boats way out on the bay because sea took about 4. And my own get some little slash, my motor head burst. At the side of my boat burst. Not too much wing, but I fixed it already.
All right, having these boats is a means of earning a living for you, getting money, and so how did that affect you, and even some of the other fishermen around the area?
Well, talking the truth, it affected us very badly because some fishermen can't go and see it because their boats on shore, some mash up, some lost, their motor break down, pay leaf go bad, everything really tight them days.
All right, and irrespective of that, I still see some boats there. Some fishermen are still able to go out.
About 7, 8 boats on the sea, so some fishermen can still go out, including myself.
And, moving forward, speaking to the ministry, talking possibly the Minister for Fisheries and so on, what sort of support are you getting from the minister?
Yeah, well, yes, the same next day, Mr. Maglock came here, and other fishes, because I have one of my daughters is a fish officer, Candy Stout. Come here and sit, look at things, and they're taking good care of us. The fishermen making good money in fishing. Up to yesterday, some boats were out. That one got about 2 marlin, some tuna, but one problem is still now because they have got light to protect the fish. They have to go all night and sell it, so it's a little difficult. I have to go Cassabus and buy gas, $15 a gallon, to go and see. Or Marigot, take my boat and go Marigot. Tightly first, very tightly.
As you recover from this hurricane, what sort of word of encouragement or word would you have for the other fishermen out there and so on?
Well, from now on, I say you shall not take more care. When they hear us see or something from the weather report, they have taken front fast and pull the boat higher up or sea ball in the Atlantic Ocean.
Personally, well, I lose my nets, my fish pots, my coolers, big coolers for ice. Yeah, I do that. I don't lose my boat, I don't lose my engine, nothing.
But, seeing that, those things I'm sure don't cost 25 cents and it's your livelihood. How did this affect you for you to be able to provide for yourself and possibly your family?
Well, to be honest, it slowed me down a little bit because I don't really going out for the time because no ice, no gas is like a fish pot now and then, one day a week and come back and does, so it kind of slow down a bit.
What's the plan moving forward for you and probably for the community in fishing?
Well, it's back to normal routines, back get the ice wherever it is and back to fishing and make your pots and do whatever you have to do. Organize, people in the community need fish, so we have to supply, them people.
As we don't have any electricity, it is very difficult to get gas for you guys, especially in the area that you are. How have these things affected your ability? I know with the fish, the meat, you have to keep it fresh and you have to keep it on ice and so on. How difficult has that been for you?
Well, them time with 1-2 boats going out, it's like as soon as you enter, it's either you go out and sell the fish, also come back. If you do come back, it's like you smoke it or, you have to do away with it or something. It's like, it's still ready.
And seeing these kind of times has made us go back to the old ways of preserving food. How has that that experience been like for you?
But it's a good experience because it's a long while we didn't experience them. To me, it's the first time I see a hurricane like that, so I don't feel no way about it. No electricity is like we live in life. When the current come back, we're back to normal routine.
Seeing that you lost your boat though to the hurricane, what was the feeling like when you woke up and you came outside and you noticed that your boat was not there?
Well, at the time, the boat wasn't on site in San Sauver, so I couldn't really get up and, to the amaze of not having my boat. My boat was in town, in the fisheries complex. Yeah, so it took me a couple of days, or maybe I should say a week, before I could, go and look for it. But then, as you say, when I got there and didn't see the boat, nothing more to think about than, hey, that gone and I have to start again.
Were you discouraged?
Anybody that spend that amount of money should be, yeah. I was discouraged for sure, yes. but at the same time had enough strength to just decide, okay, well, yeah, that happened, and you know, that is not all, so I have to do something about that. That was a fiberglass boat. It's a PR. I bought it from Matnik. And I got it for it cost me $32,000 without the engine. Yeah, to get it here, $32,000, and it had a 85 horsepower Yamaha behind it, and that cost me another $8,000 to get it because it wasn't brand new. I bought it second hand from a grown man.
Meantime, Minister for Fisheries Johnson Drago says Dominica was close to 90% self-sufficiency at supplying the country with fish before Hurricane Maria struck.
As you know, the fishery sector is a very, very important sector for us in Dominica because we were 99% self-sufficient in fish, fish stocking on this island. I mean, we only brought in exotic fish and processed fish to Dominica, like cod fish and canned fish and so. But 90% or 99% of our fish were brought in locally by our fishermen. The other fish landing major sites in Marigot and Portsmouth also got some serious damage. We're not producing ice in Portsmouth, albeit at a limited amount. So the intention is to rapidly re-establish the facility in Roseau. The Japanese were here last week looking at the facility. We have already sent formal documents to the Japanese with our intent to request that they come and assist us in assessing the cost of rehabilitating the Roseau Fisheries Complex to getting it back on stream as soon as we possibly can. It will take us some time.
Approximately 3 months after Hurricane Maria, some of the fisherfolk are up and running, but some have a short window of opportunity to sell their day's catch. Some noted challenges with preserving their fish, while others had to revert to olden day methods of prolonging the shelf life of their fish. Kenny Williams, Channel 5 News.
And members of the public came together temporarily on Monday to address the situation on the Antrim Road. Idona John Baptist reports.
The weather-beaten road gave drivers a tough time early Monday morning, delaying people traveling from the east on their way to work in the city. Before the public works authorities could respond to the situation, motorists and passengers got their hands dirty, laying stones to allow for a more satisfactory drive on that route. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Public Works, Candell Johnson, was on the scene. Later that morning, the Ministry of Public Works closed that route, diverting traffic via Warner to give a temporary fix to the area by backfilling it with tarish. The road was made passable again that Monday. However, this has been a challenge for government for several years because of serious sinking in a section of the road. In 2011, a geotechnical team from Martinique conducted an investigation of the road slippage in that area. The Public Works authorities concluded then that the tremendous movement was making it difficult to apply asphalt concrete pavements. The Public Works Minister at the time, Reuben Blackmore, said his government would have implemented recommendations by the experts. Their investigation included boring of holes to get to the depth of the area's weakness. That investigation cost government €79,000. Idona John Baptist, Channel 5 News.
In other top stories, Prime Minister Skerrit urges the international community to scale up investments in building climate change resilience. This appeal came as the Prime Minister participated as a panelist in the One Planet Summit in Paris, France on Tuesday. Mr. Skerrit says the complexities involved in procuring funds, compounded by the slow pace of disbursement, threatened to eliminate the gains made in Paris 2 years ago. He called for greater effort in streamlining the processes to access these funds and to implement plans and programs to assist the Small Island Developing States, or SIDS. The Prime Minister said in order to build resilience to climate change, island states like Dominica require significant investment in residential and public buildings, infrastructure, agriculture, tourism and utility services, water, electricity and telecommunications. He highlighted the impact of hydrometeorological events as well as slow onset events on small island developing states like Dominica, saying the impact is becoming more severe and even more frequent. According to the Prime Minister, there is unprecedented political will to stem the emission of greenhouse gases, gradually decarbonize the electricity sector, and reduce reliance on carbon-based fuels for transportation. He said 2 years ago, the international community demonstrated these commitments with the Paris Climate Agreement and the creation of the Green Climate Fund, GCF. Mr. Skerrit said the challenge, however, is in the ability of countries, especially small states like Dominica, to access the resources that have been committed to combating climate change. He cited the creation of the Climate Resilience Executing Agency of Dominica, CREED, as one solution to address these challenges. The Prime Minister also thanked the international community for their support in responding to the impact of Hurricane Maria on Dominica. He urged countries to continue to partner with the government and people of Dominica to create the first climate-resilient nation. Over the past few weeks, we've been bringing you stories of Hurricane Maria from an adult point of view. However, it's time for the children now to take the spotlight. Channel 5 News reporter Andrea Louis visited the convent prep where some of the people shared their Hurricane Maria experiences.
For 10-year-old Beata Vidal of Salisbury, her family's safety was her primary concern as they were split into 2 groups during the storm while in the same house. Luckily, all her family members survived the hurricane.
It was very frightening because where I live, it's on pillars, and the house was shaking and our window popped, and we were in that room at that time, and we had to rush to the door, and the door was refusing to open. So my daddy had to come and he had to force the door open for us to go in there. And we were split in groups. So my mommy and my 2 siblings, my brothers, were with my mother in in their bathroom, and my daddy, my auntie, and I were in the children's bathroom. So we didn't know what to expect of the others on the other side.
But everybody survived the hurricane?
Yes, everybody did.
And the morning after Hurricane Maria, when you went outside, what was that scene like?
I was very sad, not only for my family, but others, because the amount of houses that were flat and their roofs were gone. And I just say to myself that my family and I are blessed because our roof didn't go. Others, you know, the food, and that's what I thought for others.
Your school opened in 9th on the 6th story of November. How did you feel to know school was opening?
I felt great because I got to see my friends and to see if they were all right, and my teachers if they were all right too as well.
And to other young children who went through Hurricane Maria and they're feeling depressed or sad about it, what would you say to them?
I'll tell them that don't feel down because there's always a God, and once you trust in God, He will do the rest of the stuff for you.
I was very nervous, most of all, because if my roof went, we didn't have any neighbors to go to because our step to go downstairs is outside.
Did anything happen to your roof?
Yes.
What happened to your roof?
It went, the ceiling fell, it was messy around the living room, my grandparents' room, all of it, because the first room to go was the bathroom, but the room we went to, the roof didn't go.
And the next morning when you went outside, what was outside looking like?
It was really messy, dusty, a lot of galvanizer on the road.
What community do you live in?
Canefield.
But now you're back at school. You started back on the 6th of November. How do you feel to be back at school?
Great.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because I miss learning, and I like to do tests a lot. I just love school.
It was kind of scary, but I was excited at first because I never experienced a hurricane. Okay. But when I really experienced it, it was really scary. And after I fell asleep because I couldn't take it.
Wow. Okay, so the next morning when you went outside your house, what did you see? What did it look like?
Well, it barely had houses. People were all over the place, scattered all over the place. It barely had food, and people were trying to get to town to look for their family members and trying to get signal to call people.
What community do you live in?
Bellevue-Chopin.
Okay. Now, the first few days after, you mentioned there weren't a lot of houses, people all over the place. So the first few days after Maria, what did you do on a daily basis?
Well, I tried to get some work done because I have common entrance soon. I went for walks around the neighborhood. I spoke to people. I tried to make new friends. But I couldn't go down to town because there were a lot of landslides.
Now, school started back for you on the 6th of November. How was that for you?
Well, it was really the best because I got to see all my friends and with the smile on their faces and all my best friends, and I actually learned some new stuff.
Well, I was intrigued at first to see what a Category 5 would be like, but when the first round of winds came up, I was really scared, and I knew that a lot of damage would have been done to Dominica.
The night of the storm, did you fall asleep? Did you stay awake the entire time?
I stayed awake the entire time, and trust me, it was not a pleasant thing.
I can well imagine. Now, the morning after the storm, when you went outside, what was that like?
It was very sad because there were trees without leaves, there were houses without roofs, and I could actually see the village across from mine.
Where do you live?
I live in Cochrane.
Now, the days after the storm, what was it like for you? I mean, like, what did you do? You mentioned there were no roofs, there were no leaves on trees. What was it like? It was different from going to school and coming back. So what did you do in Cochrane the days after the storm?
Well, during those days, I went around the village and, well, we kind of checked to see who was okay and who wasn't okay. And, well, I had to do some work because my mother had to remind me that I have common entrance and I had to do my work. And, well, it was not that bad because it would be the same as a very long weekend.
But, I mean, there's no electricity and there wasn't any running water. What kind of impact did that have on you?
Well, the running water wasn't a problem because 2 days after that hurricane, we got back our water. But the lights thing, it's kind of getting to my head, although we have a generator now and, well, it's not much of a deal, right?
Okay, that's good to know. Now, school opened for you on the 6th of November. How did you feel when school opened?
Well, I felt happy because I knew I was going to see my friends, although some of my friends did not come. I knew they were overseas, so it was not too much of a bother. But I was happy to see that all my friends were there and none of them were sad or frustrated. They were just happy to be back.
Grade 3 teacher at the school, Chanel Gallio, says the resumption of classes has been therapeutic for the children.
Well, for the children, I think a lot of them were very happy to be back at school. It was sort of therapeutic for them because a lot of them live in the areas that were severely affected. And seeing that every day constantly, I think, would have been worse off for them. So when they're at school, it's sort of like a getaway for them. So they get to see their friends, laugh, play. They get to tell their stories to their friend because each person has a different story. So they enjoy telling their stories and, Miss My Roof went. And so I think it was good for them to come back and to be at school. Some of them, I haven't noticed severe trauma in any of them. But, some of them distracted, still you'll find them probably gazing now and then, they're sort of lost. So I think in their own way, they are still affected. Psychologically, some of them. It may not be severe, but it still affects them in some way. But I think generally it was good to have them back in the classroom setting, so it would be sort of something normal for them. They come to school, their friends, they do their work. So I think it was good for us to try as soon as possible to get the students back at school.
Now, there were psychosocial support sessions both for the teachers and for the children?
Well, we had a psychosocial support session for the teachers at school, and then from that we had to do it when we got to school with the students. So the teachers were the ones doing it with the students.
How did those sessions go?
Well, it was rather interesting getting the different stories from the students. We had a little icebreaker, we made them play a little game to sort of get them settled. And then we would make them, those who wanted to talk. We had some who initially they did not really want to talk about it, nor did they want to hear about it, so they would ask to be excused. Some of us, we made them do little drawings, and they would talk about their drawings and stuff. So I think it was good for them to let it out as well, but some were still sort of emotional about it.
As regards the convent prep building, it too sustained structural damage, and as a result, classes have had to be compounded. However, teachers are happy to report that while quite a number of children had migrated because of Maria, many are already returning to the school. Reporting for Channel 5 News, I am Andrea Louis.
To end the news, the headlines again. The Employers Federation defends sending employees home. Hurricane Maria negatively impacts fishing in the Castlebruce constituency, and a move by the public to rescue Antrim Road. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Julian Morris, inviting you to join us again tomorrow.